Hey, family, welcome back to the channel. It's Tariro here. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I appreciate you and your time for joining this particular channel and for tuning into today's episode, where we'll be going through our weekly meditation verse. If you are new to the channel, every Sunday I post a meditation verse which we use as our focus verse for the week and just allow God to minister to us for that week concerning that particular verse. This week's verse is from Proverbs chapter 14, verse 29, which reads, "Patience leads to abundant understanding, but impatience leads to stupid mistakes." That is from the CEB version. If you look at it from the NIV version, it says, "Whoever is patient has great understanding, but one who is quick-tempered displays folly." Now, as I was looking at this verse, right, I was thinking, patience has done me well in life. Honestly, in my opinion, we live in a world that is based on reacting now and acting now type of approach to things. And that approach is usually supported by the "you snooze, you lose" belief that is designed to get people to act now, right? To act quickly, which is not always bad. There are times where that belief most definitely is necessary to be acted upon in order to reap the benefits that particular time or opportunity presents to you, right? 100% believe that. The other side of the coin is that there are times where a quick response is not always necessary. In fact, there are times where that approach will lead you into trouble, or more trouble than you would have been had you practiced some patience. Patience is defined as the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, problems, or suffering without becoming annoyed or impatient. Other words for patience are tolerance, forbearance, calmness, kindness, and staying power, just to name a few. And many of us are not comfortable with experiencing delays or problems or sufferings or any form of physical and emotional discomfort, right? When that happens, we naturally want to go back to feeling good, whatever that may be for you. In order for that to happen, we react with the intention to get rid of the object of our discomfort, because we believe once that is gone and out of the way, we will feel good about ourselves again. And that is well and good. And like I said before, it may not always be the best approach. There is a time and place for everything, and it will lead you to gaining better understanding of the situation or person or thing that you are dealing with. Let's take an example. Let's say a farmer, after planting seeds in the ground, has to wait patiently for those seeds to take root and to go through their process of growth. And each seed has its own set of time before it matures enough to bear fruit. Like if you look at radishes and spinach and lettuce, they can take between 20 to 30 days to grow to maturity, which doesn't require much patience from the farmer, right? Because that time goes by really quickly. However, plants like strawberries and blackberries and similar type of fruits can take between a year and 3 years to bring about a fruitful harvest. This definitely does require more patience from the farmer. In order to experience an outcome that will be beneficial, we have to be willing to be patient. That patience will be easier when we understand what we are facing and how it best operates to bring the best out of it. As the farmer plants each seed, he or she understands how each fruit represented by that seed operates and how it needs to be cared for and how it needs to be nurtured, and the amount of patience that is going to be required in order for that farmer to see the fruit of that seed that is going to bring about joy or a great harvest for them, right? That understanding can only be gained through willingness to be patient enough to be tolerant, to be kind, to be calm and forbearing, and faith that only the best outcome will be revealed or experienced in the end. If we take another example, we look at the story of Job in the Bible. With every challenge that he was faced with, he persevered through it and remained patient, knowing that any reaction other than that was not going to change anything for him because he was in it. It was probably going to lead him into more trouble than he already was had he reacted any other way. Yes, there was a time where, he got overwhelmed and he was just like done with it. He wanted it to be over. Yet he knew it was God who was in charge of all that was going on and of his life. And therefore his patience was not going to be in vain. He knew that if he is patient enough, he was going to see the end of it. And that it was not always going to be, a situation where he's in a constant state of disadvantage. Matter of fact, this patience led him into a place of gaining new levels of understanding of God, understanding of life, and understanding of those he had around him, those he had considered friends, right? His situation brought about a whole new way of understanding things. I don't believe his end testimony would have looked the way it did had he been impatient. And as I further look at impatience definitely leads to a lot of actions and decisions that will often leave us in regret, wishing we had done better, wishing we had waited a little while longer, right? Wishing we had been patient. As the word says, it leads to stupid mistakes. And stupid mistakes almost always leave behind a mess someone will be required to clean up. Another thought that I have to share is that patience shows maturity, and impatience shows the opposite of that. It shows immaturity. Immature people always feel like they need to push their opinions and be heard and be viewed and be louder than everybody else, right? Just so they can be viewed in a certain way, which from what I have learned and observed from people like that is that this approach carries a sense of desperation with it. I have to say something now, right? Or I might be viewed as boring or unintelligent. That kind of energy, people-pleasing energy, right? Trying to gain validation from how people see you and view you. Whereas patience, which is usually carried by mature people, brings with it confidence and a sense of self-assurance. You are so self-assured and so confident within yourself to know that you don't have to be the loudest in the room. You don't have to push your opinion to receive validation. You have that in you already. God, oh so patient and kind, already set that in position within you to access whenever you please. And often I've noticed that people who are patient, right, if they're not yet at that level of confidence, if they lack confidence and self-assurance, and they find themselves in the company of people who are impatient, people who have to push their opinions, they can feel insecure, right? They can feel like maybe they should be like that other person. Maybe they should be louder and be more out there, which is not true, which is not always true. Speaking for myself, I know that my greatest power is when I'm in a position where I can be patient enough to sit back and listen to everybody else's opinion. Because from that, I am gaining understanding not only of the individuals around me, but the topic that is being discussed, right? So I'm gaining knowledge that the people who are talking constantly are not gaining, right? Not necessarily. Now, let me point out that everyone has the ability to operate in and out of both of these characteristics at given points in time. Some people spend more time operating in one of these approaches more than the other. I believe it is important to check in with ourselves as individuals and ask ourselves the following questions. And if you would like to write this down, you're more than welcome. So you can, sit and do some introspection and ask yourself these questions at a later time. And these questions are, do I approach life from a place of patience, or do I approach life from a place of impatience? How has my life and relationships and overall encounters been impacted by this particular approach? And finally, how can I improve it with the intention to make it better? To make myself better, to make my relationships better, to make my encounters better, to make my confidence better. I believe we should always look at ourselves with the intention to better understand ourselves and our approaches to everything. That understanding of self leads to an openness and willingness to be patient enough to understand others and everything else around us. With that being said, family, I pray that today's word has opened you up to a better way of understanding the value of patience and impatience and the disadvantages of either one. And I encourage you to really take the time to just sit with this word and see what you take from it, what comes up for you, and what you want to do with it. And definitely come back to this video and leave a comment in the comment section and share your own perspective, because the purpose of this channel is for us to grow together in all things Christ and to improve ourselves as individuals, not only as we move in this life with others, but with God at the center of all of it. I want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this video/audio. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the next video. Until then, take care, family.